Hello, everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Tapes. This is Unit 7.
Yes, also
Right.
known as atmospheric pollution. Now, this unit accounts for 7 to 10% of the total exam weight.
And now, what does that mean?
I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to. I can tell you, I don't know.
Okay.
But for
So,
all intents and purposes, that's just what it means.
okay. So, after that drawn out episode that we had, lesson 5, I feel like we should have a smaller, quicker lesson, which is going to be the next to these couple ones. 7 to 8 and 6.
Yeah.
We're filming 7 before 6. So 6 is also going to be short.
Awkward. There's no continuity.
So, anyways, in this lesson, we will be learning the sources and effects of air pollution. We'll learn how the Clean Air Act's regulation on metals found in fuel will dramatically decrease the amount of these metals in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
We will learn the combustion of fossil fuels that release stored energy, which has negative impacts on the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll learn the natural sources of carbon dioxide and particulate matters in the atmosphere, like dust, dirt, soot, and smoke. We will consider the sources and classifications of indoor air pollution in homes and schools. Then we will investigate the human-made indoor air pollutants that can be found in our homes and schools. Then you will also be learning how radon can infiltrate homes and other buildings and the human health consequences radon exposure has. Then we will learn different ways humans have tried to counteract air pollution with the Clean Air Act, like I mentioned earlier, and new technologies. You will also learn how acid rain damages forests and aquatic systems, as well as human-made structures, and how those may vary regionally. Lastly, we will learn what causes noise pollutants and how it affects and the effects on humans and the effects on ecological systems. Now, that was quick. So let me talk about something real quick.
Yes.
So an example of like how I said earlier, how we will learn about the effects of radon on human health. That reminds me of a certain case. Back in the early 1900s, I want to say, they used to paint watch dials. Right, and
like Apple,
like watch,
not Apple Watch,
not Apple Watches, but like
obviously.
watches.
They didn't have Apple Watches back
right?
then.
So
just like how you don't have a lot.
Back then, they would manually paint them, and since there was wars going on, they would paint. They wanted it to be glow in the dark. So
I think I've heard about this case actually. Yeah,
they invented, not invented, but they found out that radon has like glow in the dark
properties.
Yeah, so they used it to make glow in the dark paint, but completely not even like just like not knowing, because at a certain point they knew the effects, they just ignored it. They allowed women, because at the time women were working. Yes. Yes. So the women, they would stick the paint. They were told to stick the brush into the water. They would stick the paint, into the water. Then they would dip it into the paint. Then they would use their mouth to like make the point very fine. And after that, they would paint the dials. Now, see, that's a really good example of radon exposure, because after months and years, these women were... See, people would call them ghost girls, because at night
they would call really.
They would go around.
I remember that they were known as like the radon girls, like the radium girls.
They are.
I think that's
but they were also called the ghost girls before like the health effects, because they would go outside at night and they would literally be glowing in the dark. But then, right? Then they started seeing the health effects. Some of their teeth started falling out. Their jaw, like bones, disintegrated. Like their bones just like started falling apart. It was awful. Now that's a really perfect example of radon exposure on the humans.
So, Jaden, because I don't remember a lot on this topic, what is indoor air pollutants? Like, what is that?
So you know how like people still have gas stoves because electric stoves suck.
This is true, right?
Right. So These gases could be like CO2, carbon monoxide,
monoxide,
other gases like that are emitted that cause health
problems.
Yeah, health problems. Would let's say like there's fungus in there, like like how some people might have fungus in their walls, and like the spores go around. Would that be considered air pollution?
I don't think
indoors?
It's air pollutant. That's more like just an issue.
But isn't that an air pollutant because the air is polluted with fungal spores, and that's causing
bathrooms?
negative, like negative effects on the health.
But that's because of the fungi. That's the
but like, would that not cause like pollution?
I feel like it would, but I don't know.
In schools, that could be like, let's say there's a fire.
Dirty school floors.
Yeah, that's here. Yeah. One could be like asbestos, like the popcorn ceilings.
Yes.
The ghetto, the projects. The
ghetto, right?
Yes.
Wait, we can't say that.
Some of your grandmothers who live in the projects might have the popcorn ceilings, and some of you watching this might have popcorn ceilings. And just know, if you have the popcorn ceilings, get that checked out, because there's some really bad chemicals in there that really can cause lung cancer.
Yeah.
What else was there?
So, Jaden, I'm looking at the slides and I'm seeing what is acid rain? What is
acid rain? Is when carbon dioxide builds up in the builds up in the atmosphere, and it mixes with like the H2O, and that causes like acid rain. Now, see, picture acid rain in the movies, and that's what it's like. Boom.
I don't think it's like acid rain in the movies.
Yeah, but like less toned down.
It's not like it's not gonna burn
your skin alive. Up.
But it's
just gonna burn
really,
a little.
It's just really acidic.
Yeah.
Also, Jaden, what the F is noise pollution?
Noise pollution is like, how we're in New York City.
Yeah.
You hear the cars.
Pretty noisy. Yeah.
You hear the trains. You hear how loud they be.
Yeah.
That's noise pollution. Now that could affect not only us but environments. Like
how exactly?
So I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this. I'm going off the top of my dome. But there are certain species that like need like certain volumes for like mating and other things like that, or like not even just that, like mating calls. Like they have certain mating calls, and that stuff could like get drowned out by the noise pollution that's happening. Like sometimes they use it to like find mates or stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how noise pollution can affect them. One last.
So how, like, what causes noise pollution really? What does cause
like
noise pollution?
The honking of the cars, the train going on the tracks, those loud ass effing babies yelling. Another thing I want to speak about is the Clean Air Act.
The Clean Air
and
Act.
how we want to try to do something now.
I remember that. That's another like act that you have to remember.
Yeah, one of the many acts that we have to remember. So the Clean Air Act is basically a regulation on how much CO2 a state, I'm pretty sure, or a country is allowed to have emitted into the atmosphere. This has helped reduce the amount of pollution, like air pollution. This has helped reduce that, like in the atmosphere, which causes global warming, which is bad. We could all agree.
Yes, I think we can all agree.
So yeah, is there anything else you want to speak more about?
What is photochemical smog, Jaden?
Photochemical smog is like pollution that causes smog.
Oh no. Okay, so he's completely wrong. I'll explain it. Photochemical smog. This is a unit that this is a topic that you'll learn in Unit 7. But basically, photochemical smog it's just the ozone layer, but it's in the troposphere. You know how the ozone layer is located in the stratosphere, right?
Yeah.
You look lost, like a lost puppy. I'll go into depth on this on Unit 9, as I always do. Yeah, I went there. But but photochemical smog it's just smog. I mean, not smog. It's ozone that's in the troposphere, and it's really bad. Like it's not good for the environment.
Kind of like how eating all those burgers isn't good for your body, but you still do it. Yeah.
But we'll learn about that in Unit 9.
Yeah. So how did you feel about this unit?
Actually, Jaden, there's one more question I have.
What?
I'm looking at this, and I'm confused because not only do I not remember it, I find it interesting. What is thermal inversion?
Thermal inversion is when, okay, so let's say the Earth is hot.
Yes.
So thermal inversion
Just like
is
how I'm hot.
when the heat from the outside is transferred to the inside.
How does that happen?
Okay, so thermal inversion is a layer of warmer air held above colder air. Normally, air temperature gradually decreases as altitude increases, but in inversion, this relationship is reversed.
Oh,
so it kind of reminds me of like an El Nino, El Nina.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Autism. Oh, brother.
Is there anything else you would like to discuss?
Let's see. Let me look. Awkward. One last thing I would love to learn about is, so you keep on talking about pollutions, and this TAPES unit is literally called atmospheric pollution, but you didn't really go in depth on how we can reduce these air pollutants.
Well, I did, technically. I said how.
Okay, so tell me how.
The government creates these acts.
Like the Clean Air Act.
The Clean Air Act.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the Kyoto Protocol. Montreal Act, or whatever it's called.
Uh-huh.
Like stuff like that. That's how we could use more public transportation. That's another way. Reduce the use of fossil fuels in our industries. I feel like this is all common sense.
Well, common sense isn't very common. You should know this by now.
Oh, okay, but the common sense when you left the house dressed like that wasn't common, was it?
You want to talk about my sense of fashion?
Yes, I want to talk about your sense of fashion.
Oh, that's ironic. Oh, that's ironic.
Yeah, let's look at what you're wearing.
Whose fit is better? We'll post a YouTube poll. We'll post a YouTube poll down below. Whose fit is better? Who dresses better? Actually, if you do know us, if you know us in real life, who dresses better, me or Jaden? That's the real tea. But anyways,
the only thing here that's tea is how Anthony wants to be me. That's the only thing that's tea.
That's a joke. You're funny. You're funny.
I didn't know this was a joke podcast. I didn't know this was a joke podcast. I know this was impulsive.
Huh?
I didn't know this was impulsive.
This was impulsive. Just has cerebral palsy.
Kind of like how the way you smell is impulsive.
That did not eat.
It did eat.
That did not eat.
Oh, but see how you're talking about eating, but I never seen you eat a salad. Anyway, let's continue. So how'd you feel about this unit, Anthony?
This unit, it's so short. Like,
it's so short. It's so easy. I liked it. Yeah. It was like, I would rate it like a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Very easy to understand.
It relates to topics that we've already talked about.
Yeah, like most of them, like we talked about
that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's gonna really help you. Like, it's good to have like a basic understanding.
So like before you actually like go in depth into like these types of topics, it's always great to like have a little information beforehand. Yeah.
So, anyways, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Tapes. I'm Jaden Calderon.
And I'm Anthony Santos.
And you watching Tapes.
We're gonna get trademarked. We're gonna get, what's it called? We're gonna get copyrighted strike.